Welcome back, guys. Welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to go through importing packages. So it's a pretty simple, easy way to do it. One thing I forgot to mention in the user interface tutorials was in the bottom here you have the slider which actually changes the view of your window, which is quite handy. You can have it in as folders, or you can have it in as writing with folders. It's whatever, it's take your pick, really, whatever your preference is. So going on, what we're going to do is we're going to go to import assets, we're going to go to assets. Now one thing we've got here is, as I went through the menus before, we've got the import new assets, import package, which is what we're going to do, and then we can export package. The cool thing is we can export, say, this scene or just our maze, and then we can send it enough to another scene and then bring it in, and then makes it easy. But in the case, we're going to go to import package, and then this one here called character controller. All these other packages I will go through in a future tutorial. So we're just going to click on that. Then this is pretty much everything it's going to bring in. So you can see your third person, first person, all your images, scripts, everything that you need. So everything, make sure everything's ticked, and then just hit import. That will just compile everything, so it makes it easy. And if you look at the bottom left here in project, you can see it's got a new folder here which is standard assets. So that's everything that is inbuilt in Unity, that those packages that I was talking about before. So if we go to standard assets and this folder here, character controllers, now we've got a third person controller and a first person controller. So what we're going to do is we're going to left click on this little sucker, grab him out, drop him in the scene here, and that's in there. So if we hit F, you can view down, and then as you can see, I've pretty much replaced him in a bad spot. So I'm just going to lift him up just above the terrain, like so. And in the hierarchy, you can see that that's a first person controller. Now, a first person controller is consisted of a graphic and the main camera. A graphic is actually your player that you're going to play as, or your vehicle, or whatever you're going to actually be moving around with, which has its own settings. And main camera, which if you look in the inspector, has a lot of stuff, but I'll go into that later when we go through it. So I'm just going to close that back up. So as you can see, there's this green thing around the cylinder. You probably looked at it in the video before. This is what you call a collider. So if we go to the main camera, is it? No. Somewhere there. Can't find it. But anyway, it's got a collider. So it's a cylinder collider. So basically, what the collider does is it gives us a ground, or a boundary, if you like to call it. So if I hit play, for example, it probably will not let us go through the floor because we have this on. So if I hit play, you can see we're walking around. Probably can't see it, but you can kind of see it. The wall's getting closer. We have this collider on, and that's basically allowing us to walk on it. And the terrain also has a collider as well. So basically, if you want to know what it looks like without a collider, I'll do that in another. Basically, you're just going to fall through, or you're just going to go straight through, which, if you saw before, went straight through the wall, basically. So I'm just going to scale this little dude up, make him big. Why not make him that big? Yeah, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's good size, I reckon. Cool, so it's nice and big now. So one thing we've got to do is we're going to make these walls have mesh colliders on them, or box colliders, whichever one we choose to. In this sense, I'm going to go through them all anyway. But so we're going to grab this back wall here. So you're going to select the object that you want to actually put it on. then you go to component, physics. So now you've got here your box collider, sphere collider, capsule, mesh collider, wheel, and terrain collider. So as you notice, the terrain obviously has its own collider. Box collider will literally just give us a box to play with, which if I can show you, if you can see this little box just here, that's it there. The way you can move it and scale it is by these values here. So we go like there, and we can change the size. I think we might need to move it a bit over, a lot more. So we just go there, then we can go whoop, and look at that sucker. And then what we've got to do is basically just replicate the shape that it is. So we just go Y to the max, and you can move it, not by that, sorry, by this one here, which allows you to move it up and down. So it's basically left to right is this top part is basically your translation, or basically where you want to move it. So you can go X, which is left and right, Y, which is up and down, and Z, which is back and forth, which is very handy to know. And size is the exact same thing, so left to right, Y is up and down, and Z is back and front. So you can see that basically we have this box around it. I might need to slim it down a bit and move across a bit. There you go. So that's one way of doing it. That's a box collider, but that still is very effective, especially if you have some crates and stuff like that you want to work with. Another easy way, I think, is we could probably do it with all of them. Select them all, and you can basically go back to physics, and that is mesh collider. If you click on that, because we've already got the collider that we just made, we can just replace it, but I'll replace it anyway. So now you can see it in Inspector, it has this mesh collider here, which is pretty cool. So now if I hit play, we should not be able to go through the walls, so like so. Here, walk in, and then, no, something went wrong, probably because I select them all and did it, which probably is most likely the case. But anyway, you know on how to do it. Okay, because I've already got it on. So say if we're going to go straight through here, let's give that a shot again. No, I have no idea why it's doing that. But yeah, that's basically how you do it anyway. But it's easier with the mesh collider, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's a pain. Box colliders do work, or spheres, depending on what type of object you are working with. Yep, so we'll just quickly do this. Okay, so that's a good example, so we'll just get that. And if we turn around, that's the back wall, I think. Yeah. So that's the back wall, we shouldn't be able to go straight through that at all. So dun it, dun it, dun it, dun it, dun it. Bam. See? There you go. Now I can't get through that. So you've got to do that to all your walls, which can be a bit of a pain, but it works. But for this tutorial, it's just showing you how to do that. So that is how to, sorry, I should say, and third person controller, that is your third person controller, which basically Unity loves to give you one of their own, which is pretty cool, which is that, which is not a very pretty view. But that can be changed anyway. So that is it for this tutorial, which is colliders and importing the character controller and packages. So enjoy.